I think I would choose reason number 4, which is the worst affected receive the least attention in national responses to HIV. This reason emphasizes drug users and emphasizes sex workers and emphasizes men who have sex with men and prisoners and detainees. And I think these are all important populations, but there's also other populations. There's migrants who lose access to treatment when they cross borders, or who lose access to treatment when they migrate internally within a country. In countries in Eastern Europe and Asia, you see that migrants' healthcare is restricted because they don't have a residency permit for the city that they're living in, and that leads them to be denied access to treatment. And we have to break down all of those barriers, and we have to break down stigma and discrimination by healthcare providers and ensure that national policies recognize that everyone has the right to access to prevention, treatment, and care. And so for me, when we look at how we're doing, it's not just a question of 400,000 people tested. It's a question of who's getting tested and who's not. Who's getting access to treatment and who's not. If we had insisted from the start of scaling up of services that these services would be equitable, that all populations, women, men, urban, rural populations, children, sex workers, drug users, MSM, prisoners and detainees had access to services, then we could really be talking about universal access. But when you start with the low-hanging fruit, when you start with urban, educated populations, and then try and expand services, it's much more difficult. So we need to talk about equitable access, and we need to ensure that when we're talking about universal access, we're really talking about the universality of it, that everyone, regardless of who they are, regardless of how they were infected, has access to all of these services.
For further information on human rights, HIV/AIDS, and to endorse now more than ever the joint statement, visit www.hivhumanrightsnow.org.